Have you ever walked into an old house and felt it, like something was watching from the shadows? Or maybe heard a sound when no one else was home? Today, we're exploring the terrifying phenomenon of haunted houses, real places, with real-life supernatural encounters that leave even skeptics questioning what's hidden just beyond the veil of our understanding. From shadowy figures whispering in the night to spirits searching for answers they never received, prepare yourself because these are 3 true stories of people who dared to live in homes that may never let them go. If you're brave enough, keep watching, but you might want to leave a light on for this one. Let's dive in. Our first story begins in a small town where a couple named Sarah and Mark found what they thought was their dream home. The house sat on a hill overlooking the town like some forgotten guardian. Though it had been abandoned for years with shattered windows and graffiti-stained walls, it came with promise, spacious rooms, breathtaking views, and most tempting of all, a price they couldn't refuse. Little did they know, the house came with something much darker than broken glass and boarded-up doors. From the moment they moved in, strange things began to happen. On their first evening, they heard it, footsteps echoing in the halls, too deliberate to be the creaks and groans of an aging house. Sarah dismissed it as the sound of the wood settling, but it didn't stop there. Late at night, doors would slam shut without warning, though every window stood locked against the outside air. And Sarah was haunted by the shadows. One night, she woke from a restless sleep and froze in place. Just at the foot of their bed, barely more than a silhouette, stood a figure. It didn't move, it didn't speak, it simply watched. Mark grew increasingly uneasy, but he never expected what came next. The turning point happened late one night when he woke to the sound of his own name. His eyes snapped open, and the bedroom was bathed in an unnatural bluish light. He felt it before he saw it. Standing at the foot of his bed was a man, tall and hollow, with eyes that seemed to pull the warmth from the room. The man leaned close to Mark's face. His voice was almost a hiss. "Get out!" That was it. Mark didn't hesitate. He woke Sarah, and they fled the house, never looking back. The house now returns to its state of abandonment, though locals swear something still watches from within its broken walls. Some say it's the spirit of a previous owner, someone whose death left no obituary, whose presence lingers like a stain. Others whisper more sinister theories, but whatever the truth is, one thing is clear. It's not just a house, and it's not welcoming anyone new. Let's move on, though the next story doesn't offer much relief. This tale revolves around Emily, who moved into a historic home with her family, an intricate, beautiful place with stained glass windows and woodwork that seemed to whisper of another century. But beauty can be deceiving. From the very first week, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone. It started innocently enough, or maybe hauntingly innocent. Emily noticed a figure in the hallway one evening as she tucked her daughter into bed. A woman, dressed in flowing white. She seemed almost ethereal, her face expressionless, her presence cold. Before Emily could reach for her husband or call out, the figure vanished. Emily tried to convince herself it was nothing, but it wouldn't let her forget. The spectral woman didn't hide. Emily's daughter started talking about her, a nice lady who visited her at night, who sang lullabies so soft they barely disturbed the air. And then, one night, the woman's intentions changed. Emily woke to her daughter's blood-curdling scream. She rushed into the room to find the little girl sitting upright in bed, pointing to the corner. A corner so dark, it swallowed the nightlight. "She said I had to leave with her," the little girl cried. Emily's heart sank. This wasn't just a ghost. It was something uninvited and actively dangerous. A paranormal investigator revealed the history of the house. Decades earlier, a woman had died suddenly within its walls. Without closure or justice, her spirit had remained. Emily and her family chose to leave the house altogether, abandoning its beauty for the safety of their daughter. To this day, neighbors swear they see the white-clad figure drifting behind its glass windows, waiting, always waiting. Finally, we arrive at the last story, a modern dream home turned nightmare. For John, Lisa, and their kids, it was everything they wanted. Spacious, suburban, new. They packed their lives into boxes, drove out of the city, and smiled as they stepped inside their fresh start. But smiles can fade quickly, and theirs vanished on the very first night. John was woken at 3 a.m. by knocking at the front door. He cursed under his breath, pulling himself out of bed, annoyed by what he thought was neighborhood kids playing pranks. But when he opened the door, there was no one there. No prank, no explanation, just an eerie quiet. The knocking returned each night. On the fifth night, Lisa swore the chairs in the dining room were rearranged, but there was no one else in the house but them. The worst moment came with a whisper. Lisa heard her name, faint but unmistakable, as she cooked dinner late one evening. She thought it was John until she realized the sound came from below. Nervously, she opened the basement door, and there, at the bottom of the stairs, stood a child, a pale, hollow-eyed boy, alone in the icy darkness.
You shouldn't have come here.
Lisa didn't wait to understand. She shut the door, grabbed her family, and left the house that same night. They left the house that same night. Later, they learned the truth. Years ago, a family lived there, and their son mysteriously vanished, never found. But those who've walked by the empty house swear that sometimes, in the dead of night, they hear a child laughing, a sound eerily distant, yet heartbreakingly close. These stories remind us that sometimes the places we call home hide secrets we may never understand. If you've ever felt like you weren't alone, a breath on your neck, a whisper you can't explain, share your story in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and always trust your instincts.